Somewhere along the way, the big platform
Good evening or afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another town hall. This is going to be an interesting one. If you're finding us for the first time, you're in for a treat because there's a lot going on, and we have a community that's very invested. I expect this to be one of the most highly attended ones. And I think I forgot to hit the audio in the timer again because that happened from time to time. My mistake. I apologize. So there's a lot to go over. The community has been a buzz, throwing all kinds of things our way, feedback and everything. So we're going to go into that and we're going to go into why that's important to us. I didn't turn a light on my sign. Let me go do that real quick too. That's much better. Set the mood. All right. So let's see. I've got the chat open, so I should see if you guys have got messages and shooting them my way. I'm going to be looking around, make sure I follow up with all of those. But I got a stacked agenda. I'm going to go through as slow as I can because I have a tendency to speed up, but that's not the case today. I'm going to go nice and calm and slow and kind of walk through all this stuff. If you're just jumping in, I'm going to vamp for a second too. I'm going to give some time for people in the community to find us because I know that people don't jump in right as we start. So give me a few minutes to kind of ramp us up a little bit, and I'm going to go through some stuff. Once again, I'm going to say. Actually, I'm going to bring this up right away because I think this is totally worth talking about. So again, Web3 has gone through some changes, right? Blockchain projects have gone through major changes. 4 years ago, when we get started, the industry was flooded with meme tokens and NFTs and speculation, and that's it. We're kind of in a good space now where all that's kind of gone away. And now it's actual projects with real output, real value they're only around, the ones who are left around any longer. I feel like we're fortunate to be part of that part of the cycle. Obviously, it's much better if we're if we're actually creating something that has value. But it's a big change in the industry, and I think that sometimes it causes a misalignment of expectations. As I said, this week has been one where there's been a lot of community feedback heading our way. And why is that important? Well, let me share this. So, people who know me know I've been in this business. I've been in the gaming industry for over 26 years at this point. I spent a good amount of time as a project manager. And one of the most important, let's see if I can get that larger. Let me come back. One of the most important books I ever read was this book here called Thanks for the Feedback. It was by Douglas Stone and Sheila Heen. They had written prior to writing this book, they wrote a book called Difficult Conversations. And when they were going around after shipping Difficult Conversations, they went around to a lot of different companies and said, what'd you think of the book? And people were giving them feedback. And of course, some of the feedback was great. Some of the feedback was not so great. And some of them was pretty much unkind. So they wrote this second book called Thanks for the Feedback. And if you're managing people, if you're managing projects, if you're talking to people, if you're married, if you're just a person who talks to other people, this book is so important. It talks about the idea that the majority of the time, it's good to learn how to give feedback, but the majority of the time you're getting feedback. And oftentimes you're getting feedback from people who aren't particularly skilled at giving constructive feedback. They're just kind of, well, bitching or complaining. But I mean, all in all, it's important to get feedback and to have a mindset of, hey, feedback is important to me. I'm curious about why they're saying this. Did I broadcast incorrectly? Did I give poor information? Did I not give enough information? A really good lead is able to kind of put their ego aside and listen to the feedback and say, okay, what they said didn't feel great. I didn't like hearing it the way they presented it, but there's important information in all the feedback they were giving me. This is, again, universal. It works in relationships. You know, you got a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife who's giving you feedback and you're like, oh gosh, why stop saying that? There are tools in here also for how to massage the message giver to kind of, you know, make it come across in a way that's more receptive. And then of course for yourself to learn how to give feedback in a way that isn't caustic or causes people to dig in their heels, that kind of thing. So anyways, all of that said, I want to thank our community for caring enough to give us this feedback that they've been giving. Again, it's not always easy to hear some of the messages, and some of them are downright just well, I mean, some of them are incorrect. That's true too, but perception is part of reality, so we have to kind of address that as well. So I've got a long agenda to go through today. I'm hitting a lot of the questions that people brought up. That's fine. I'll go through all that stuff. I do kind of want to start with just saying, you know, if you're just, again, for people who are just finding us, our main thesis is we have the solution to the data center problem that is grabbing all the headlines now. I was asking the guys who are overseas, because I'm here in the States, but you know, a couple of our team members I was talking to this morning are, I guess, I think Singapore and I want to say India, but I don't think that's correct. No, actually, I think Spain, somewhere in Europe. Anyways, in the States, we've got a lot of headlines about how data centers and hyperscalers are popping up all over the place. They're super invasive. They jack up the energy prices. They drain the local water supplies. And people are really, and many states are pushing back on the idea that like moratoriums. I think New York has a moratorium. Texas is looking at legislation to stop it from happening. Pennsylvania as well. I know Indianapolis, that's one I just read, just a city level, but they're saying they're putting a stop on it. What we have is a decentralized network built on the GPUs that are all around the world sitting idle for 80% of the time, people's gaming rigs. So if you got a gaming rig at home and it sits idle when you go to bed at night or you go off to work or to school, you can put your rig on our network and we'll pay you to allow us to stream games and other content as well through your gaming rig. It's not invasive. We send an external hard drive, so we never touch your hard drive. But it's a good way to earn passive income. And we'll go through the ways that you can find that out. And that's, again, for people who are just finding us. Most people who are here today are part of our community. They kind of know what our proposition is. But ultimately, just want to restate the data center hyperscaler issue that's worldwide getting all kinds of pushback and super bad. Really, it's poorly designed. It's not efficient, and it's going to eventually probably just get. It's going to. I don't want to say it's going to fall because they're going to pour a lot of money into it, but it's going to forever crawl. Our system, by utilizing, by spreading out, distributing the network the way that we've done, it lessens that need for energy all concentrated in one spot, or water concentrated in one spot, or heat dispersion all in one spot. It spreads that out over different homes, and then it puts money into local economies by paying the node operators. That's our proposition. It's a very important one, and it's important that people recognize. A lot of people are here for that reason, right? Because they feel like we can make a change to the way that the world operates and how data centers are a part of the change that we want to kind of push back against. So that's a little bit interesting stuff. And again, on Wednesdays, I go into it more deeply on what's going on in the industry and how we are affecting it. Again, we think in a positive way. Project at a high level, we've just shipped another second batch of nanos. You're seeing if you're following along here, I'll bring that up real quick too. If you're following along with our app, you'll see the map is just lighting up. I'm switching in over here. More and more nodes are becoming active, right? This is a week ago you looked at this and there was probably 10 less nanos operating. So it's just getting, obviously Europe's got a lot going on. We got a lot, in India, we're live in South America. We've got someone actually playing here in South America. That's kind of cool. That session's going for a while. North America getting really, really well covered. This is nice. So nanos have gone out, shipped. That's great. We've got Gamescom coming up next week. We've got our business teams going out there, or they're heading out that direction now, which is why I'm flying solo tonight. I was trying to rope in anybody else to join me with this one, but they're all kind of on their way to Gamescom. And then next September, we're going to Discord headquarters for a big event that Discord has asked us to attend. That's also great news. We're going to be meeting a lot of people in Silicon Valley on that trip. I think they've got a whole bunch of meetings set up. So there's a lot going on from the project side, but the communities have been asking certain things about, Uzbekistan, thank you. And people have been asking certain things, and we do want to get some information out to people that feel like, you could have put this information out long ago, and we probably should have. But again, we have to accept that we're not perfect on these messages. So let me jump over here first. If you've been a community member and you've been working on doing the quests, or if you've been you were one of the people who bridged their tokens into the new Avalanche version of our token. The claim schedule is this: the claims will go live starting at midnight on the 5th, or 1 minute past midnight on the 5th, UTC time. So if you're in Europe, that's 2 a.m. in the morning. If you're on the East Coast of the US, that's 8:01 p.m. East Coast time. So know accordingly. This is the date that I think we probably didn't put it out. Surely not well enough. Here you go. This is the date you want to keep in mind. September 5th, midnight UTC, depending on where you are, it's obviously going to change. If you're Central European time, it's 2 a.m. If you're in the US on the East Coast where I am, it's 8 at night. 8 at night. So that's the first thing. Where do you get your token? Where can you see them? You can actually see the vesting period now. If you haven't done this yet, I went for the first time today. You go to app.team.finance. Well, team.finance is the website, but app.team.finance will bring you to this dashboard. You log in with your wallet that's going to be receiving the tokens. And if you go to the page that says token vesting, which I'm of course not, I'm not bringing that up, but it's a very slick dashboard, and you can actually see your vesting period, the tokens that are coming in, the amount that you're getting. If you haven't logged into app.team.finance yet, this is where you'll get those tokens will start dripping in starting on the 5th. It's a very nice site, and these are our partners. We've said in the past a portal, like the portal on the YOM website. That is not true. Please understand, we're not using that. We're not even going to use the term portal any longer. App.team.finance is where you want to go. And very important note, don't go anywhere else. If you see a link that someone's dropped into the community message, saying go to this link instead, or even the mods are going to tell you someplace different. Our mods aren't that way anyways, but don't listen to any other message except for this one, app.team.finance. Log in with the wallet that's receiving the tokens. Go to the dashboard, go to the token vesting. You'll see your tokens there. If there's any questions about that, drop them into the chat. I'm watching again as we go. So again, the date is September 5th, starting at midnight UTC. The site is app.team.finance. You can log in now and see them being prepared. It's all done through a contract over there. I feel like that's a lot of information that we could have put out a long time ago and have just, again, this is the feedback we're getting from the community. Is like, you guys can put this information out. We'd like to hear it. It's super helpful to us. And fair. I mean, extremely fair. We should be doing this on a better cadence. And I'm going to get to that part here in a second as well. All right. The people who have been questing season 2, I don't have a slide for this. Let me get out of there. So we did an extension to season 2, and this came about kind of really through math. We had season 1 ran for 7 months, and we had allocated 100K worth of YOM tokens for season 1 over that 7 months. When we set up season 2, it was set up with a 3-month window for 80K. And then it was a community member, Glory, who's now a team member. He came to us as a community member and said, "Hey, that the balance is off." And amongst many other reasons, we brought him on board the team. He set out to make a correction to that and said, "Listen, if you want to make it equitable, you really should make that out to 5 months. It gives us 2 more months of community work for the same amount of value that we provided in season 1." So that was a reason for the switch, or a big part of the reason for the switch. And we really do want to. I mean, obviously, we like Glory well enough that we didn't just listen to a suggestion. We brought him onto the team for, again, that and other reasons. But that shows consistency with what season 1 was set up to be. I know that we've done also, we worked hard in season 2 to cut down the bots. And we did that in a way that kind of caused some people to lose their X account because we're chasing after the blue X's, was what we're saying. We are going to revisit if there's any other way to do that. And I think we searched for a way to do that differently and never found a different way. So I can't promise that we are going to find another way, but we are going to take another quick look at it to see if is there anything we can do to make this easier on people so they're not having this issue. But again, I can't really promise anything until we do the research. Let's see. Let's get through. I feel like I'm going fast. Oh, well, I got one person who agrees with it, that we're, again, the criticism as I go again to the feedback. Well, how do you want to give your feedback? If you give it that way, it's probably not going to be super well received. All right. Next topic, liquidity. Where's a YOM being spent? And I get a slide for this one. Bring up. All right. So this is public knowledge. I mean, it's and we talk about this, but I don't know if we've ever shown this. I've tried to make this graphic as simple as possible. It's pretty bootleg. So we have two entities, right? The YOM Foundation is where the token, where we worked with the KOLs, where the exchanges have gone through our payment to the node operators that comes from the foundation. And then we have the YOM company, where network demand is found and paid for. The technology is being built. There's business operations, obviously, sales, all come from the YOM company. Those are two separate entities, and they're distinct for business reasons and all kinds of things. The foundation it took a loan from the company in order to do the TGE, and the question came up is have they paid back all that they've done within the process? The foundation is in the process of paying that all off. To say that it's paid off now is not really the case, but as far as YOM company is going, our runway is comfortable. We don't have any kind of concerns there. We've got, again, so much forward momentum with the technology and with the fundraising that we're not particularly concerned. As a startup, we're always raising. Every startup knows that you're always raising, always trying to find more capital. But that's not a concern if that was a concern that people were having. So I wanted to be clear about the structure in case it was not clear. And I don't know that it was necessarily buried or hidden. It's public knowledge, but never really talked about plainly on the town hall. So I thought I would do that as well. Where, gosh, here I said we're going to spend a nice, quiet, slow community time together, and I've gotten through like half of the agenda in 18 minutes. It's not really what my intention was. Oh, there's the other thing I wanted to bring up. Let me stop that. So this is also, available, but not necessarily where you would look to find it. I'm going to take you there. Let's see, I'll do this, and I'll do this. Okay, so the tokens, how many are there? What's in circulation? That kind of thing. A question that comes up. I can minimize myself even smaller. You don't need to see my face. There we go. Okay, so YOM.net. If you go here and scroll down to the footer and go to tokenomics, if you have questions about, what's token allocation, what was the market cap, all those things, if you're not familiar with this page, and we'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit, that's how you get there. If this information is not, reached your, obviously you can go to CoinMarketCap, and that's got numbers as well that we report. But here's the starting point. Here's what TG was all based around. And I think that a lot of the questions people have are available. The answers are available here. What's the distribution across the different categories? I know that we've released several times in the chat, which wallet has which allocation there, and they're clearly labeled. This charge that there's a hidden wallet or those kind of things. There's not. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at a comment that someone very colorful, using very colorful language. That I'm sure that comment's not going to stick around. Sorry, brother. What was I going on about? Oh, the idea of like a hidden wallet or anything like that. It's just, we don't operate that way. Again, we're in a different time in the Web3 space where, first of all, there all kind of regulatory rigmarole that we were trying to stay clear of. Again, back in those days when there was a bunch of, jump out of this, when there was a bunch of projects that were kind of showing TGEs and meme coins and all that stuff, you were dealing with companies that had no face, like this one on TV, no real name, like my real name. Our website, obviously our LinkedIn profiles are all listed this. We're all doxxed. It's not, those days are gone, and so glad that they are gone. If we were a scammer, gosh, guys, we've been at this for 4 years. We would have been calling on. They'd have called on to us by now. The feds would come in to my house. I mean, if you know what the U.S. Feds are like, they're brutal, and I would not be safe, and I would not sign on for any of that kind of stuff, anyways. So I get that people are, they've been burnt so many times by the prior version of Web3 that they're looking for scammers everywhere. I get it. Again, I've got a wallet full of crappy NFTs that are going to go nowhere. So I fell for a lot of those things too. But recognize we're in a much better time now. We're in a time where the only companies that are around, well, not the only ones, but certainly YOM is a project that is technologically based. We're solving a real world problem. We're using technology. Now, it doesn't react as fast as speculation does for things like, again, a meme token can blast off because people are speculating on it. No, this requires that we actually prove that we're building what we're building, have things like the network up and running, have games running off of a site like walter.dg. So there's ways to prove that our technology is doing what we say it's going to do. But again, that's a slower process. It's not as fast as speculation. So the turnaround is not anywhere near as speedy as I think people were used to when they're in the prior cycle of the Web3 space. All right, let me get back to my notes. And see where I have. Okay, so we got a request, and again, my hat tip to Wally05, who's been again one of those community members who I think does a really good job of both giving good feedback in a way that you want to be receptive to it. You don't want to just kind of blow it off or call them just it's a good way to give feedback. I think Wally, if he hasn't read thanks for the feedback, he probably would read and go, yeah, I know all this stuff already. So we do appreciate Wally05 for giving his feedback to us. But he asked us a couple of questions about can we set up a system so that on a regular basis we give an update to things like the liquidity pools or the date for the release of the September 5th date that we kind of should have broadcast earlier. I think what we have to meet as a leadership group to say, all right, what kind of cadence makes sense to us? What kind of information can we get? We don't want to just flood the zone, but we do really feel like he's right to say we could do a better job of giving out project information on a regular basis. Right now, our feed is filled with what's called a knowledge expert, industry knowledge that we're trying to again communicate to everybody who's in the cloud gaming space or the clouds. Compute space that, hey, there's an alternative to the central database system that everyone's flocking to and paying massive amounts of money for. There's an alternative. We have the alternative. So we have to have a lot of messaging out there, especially on platforms like LinkedIn, but also on X as well, to say we've got a really different approach. And if you haven't heard about it yet, and many people haven't, here's what it is. Here's why it's different. Here's why it's going to solve the problem. So we put a lot of that message. We put that message out a lot, right? And people are saying, "Gosh, can you just change the? Can you give us a little bit of project information as well? And that's all fair. So, working with the team now to talk about what can our cadence be, where we don't stop giving out that information about why we're building something different, so that the entire industry, gaming industry, and edge compute can see all this difference, the different technology that we've built. But at the same time, community members can stay up to date with the community stuff as well. It's a fair request, and I think we're going to take a look at how we do that in a much better way. I keep on glancing over. I should wait. Maybe I'll just do this. I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hide the chat because this guy's colorful language is making me chuckle and it's throwing off my train of thought. He's the very liberal use of the word, gonads, but he uses different words. The liberal use of that word has got me feeling like, it's a man after my own heart, because I use that word offline, away from this project. I use it quite a bit, but I'm not going to let it distract me. All right, let's talk a little bit about the product itself. So in the past week, let me bring this up. You've seen us release, Walter.gg released over here. Marvel Rivals, and it's pretty sweet. If you haven't played this yet, you should jump in and start playing it. And I'm going to go into a little bit of where this helps us out. But right now, we've had the game live since Tuesday, I think it was. And we're data mining. Walter.gg is still in alpha, right? It's still got some growing pains. We know this. So we went out and said, okay, well, let's pull as much information from people who are playing so we can kind of understand what our network is doing, how it's performing. What we have now is about 4 out of 10 sessions gave a negative review or had a concern. Like we've got, either latency is bad or unable to connect. And 4 out of 10 is it's better than 50. That means 6 out of 10 were satisfied or happy. And you don't generally hear from people who are happy anyways. It's really the people who are complaining. But let's take it at face value and say 4 out of 10 were unsatisfied. Not a horrible number, but not nearly good enough, right? Obviously, we got to get much better than that. So Rohan and the tech team have been diving into like what's the feedback more importantly, not only what people are saying, but looking at the telemetry data and what the data is telling us. We're seeing things like people drop off in the middle of the onboarding, like pulling up Steam and logging into Steam, which again can be a problem for some people. We're seeing a lot of people hitting from regions that aren't, I guess they're just not close enough to an active nano, which really ends up being an opportunity for people who are in that region. If you click on the page, if you click on the game to play, and it comes back with, hey, you're not close enough to a nano to play, well, that means there's a market from where you are, and you should think about maybe hosting a nano yourself. So we had South America, Africa, India, South Pacific. A lot of those places kind of pop up, and they left, again, or either they left a negative review or we couldn't able to fully connect. And again, it was a distance issue. Latency, some of the latency issues too are going to end up being a distance issue because I think we say that we can support up to about 500 miles, but if you're outside of 500 miles from a nano, you're going to have a hard time, or it's going to lag a bit. So again, this is good information to have. This is actually a version of feedback, obviously that's important to us to get, and that's what we're. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Yeah. Obviously, this is all good information for us to get, and I appreciate that our tech team is able to actually get those numbers out, surface them, and then start working on the problems. I know that the tech team is actually already starting to work on some of these issues, like the onboarding flow, to make it as smooth as possible. If you have not played yet through Walter.gg, yes, you have to log in through your Steam account the first time. But then every time after that, or so far for me anyways, it's been this way that I log in every time after that, and I just go right through it. So much faster after the first time. But let's talk about what's the next step for our community, what we're kind of asking people to do. Obviously, I've given the information now when the tokens become available and get putting into the wallets through team.finance. We're going to talk more about, or we're going to repeat that message over and over again so people can see it in our community chats and all that. But what's also helpful for us is for people to do what so many people have already done is go to walter.gg, start trying to play these games, leave feedback, let us collect that telemetry data and how we can help us to parse, more samples. I think our samples are up to 400 samples, but obviously 4,000 is better than 400. So the more sample data we get, the more targeted we can be with our fixes and just, the more hardening we can do in the right direction. So that's part of the lift. And then the other part of the lift is to spread the word. If you haven't yet sent the link to walter.gg to any of your friends who might want to play Marvel Rivals or Warframe, or Counter-Strike, send it over to them, let them know, hey, you've never opened up a Steam account before, or you have a Steam account, but you're not playing because your computers can't handle some of these high-end games, or you just don't want to download and install them. Now there's a way to do that. Go to walter.gg, and then that helps out not just us with the telemetry data, but people who are operating nanos, like get that network traffic up. And again, the more network traffic that's generated, the more YOM tokens that are burned, and I think we all follow that story already. I do want to say we've seen other people are talking a lot about the token, our token price, and what's happened to it. We've seen a lot of other deep end projects spend a lot of their time so much bandwidth. Again, this is during the early days of the deep end narrative and even the early parts of crypto, where they were spending so much time worrying about the token and running around the token and trying to support the token that they just neglected their technology entirely. And a lot of those projects have either gone away or they've greatly downsized. They never found their market. All those things that have kind of happened. We've said over and over again, we expect that we're going to learn from these other projects that came before us and for whatever reason maybe didn't get the traction they needed or didn't stick around long enough to get that traction. And we ourselves are not going to repeat those mistakes. Whenever it's in our power to not repeat those mistakes, That's our plan. I think we're being very smart about it. So, so not to say, again, I said on Wednesday night, the token price is a data point for us, just like the telemetry data from the Walter.GG is a data point for us. 4 out of 10 not having a good experience is a data point that we need to address. Where the token is, it's a data point we should probably address. But there are only certain things we could do. And again, with regulatory eyeballs the way that they are, we're not going to do anything shady because, again, we've got a great product. We've got a great product and a technology that's going to do a lot of good for anybody who, well, kind of anybody really. If you're worried about a data center being built next door, if you want to use AI and you're worried about, well, is there a conflict between, well, I want to use AI, but I also know that it's environmentally damaging, or it's somebody's feeling the strain of me using AI as much as I'm using. And as a guy who's been making Spanish versions of my favorite rock songs on the side using AI, like I know that I'm taking GPU cycles from a data center that, really is it could be hurting somebody because they have a big data center built next door to them. So that kind of conflict that I have in my mind, I'm sure I'm not the only one. With a decentralized system, the kind that we're setting up, instead, what I could be saying to myself is, wow, somebody with a Nano is actually earning some money because I decided to write, this song or have this song performed in Spanish. And by the way, I don't speak Spanish. I just love hearing music in Spanish. I just think it's a great language for songs. Side note. Anyways, that's what's going on there. So the ask is, again, push Walter.GG, let people know that there are games there to play. The more that people play, the more traffic the network gets, the more tokens that are passed around, the more tokens that are burned. Everything we keep on saying is, kind of in that way. On us is to get a better cadence of information out to everybody. That's not just what we're doing for the industry and what we offer the gaming community and the edge computing community, but also what we're offering our community members. So yes, we take that in. It's good feedback, and we really do have to get better at it. It's been part of the conversation in the last 2 days since it became such a big push from our community, so helpful. But it's going to continue into next week and beyond. All right, did I not remember anything? I did want, so I shouted out Wally, and I do want to shout out all of our mods who have been doing a tremendous job. Again, this has been a couple of days with a lot of high tension, right? A lot of energy going on there. Also want to throw out to our community member, Young Cardone, who, despite it being sharp quite a bit, has also been super helpful community-wide and feedback-wise. We had to kind of give a hat tip to him as well. And anybody else, if you're out there and you want to give feedback, again, we're open to feedback. We don't love insults. You don't have to do it that way. But if you've got a sharp criticism that's not, you guys are a bunch of scammers and using the word gonads or anywhere you throw them pepper in, give us feedback. It's important to us that we get it. And then we can't always guarantee we're going to react exactly to it or do the solution the way that you've asked us to do the solution, but we're committed to making a solution happen. All right. Let's jump into where the community is talking, and I'm going to scroll up a bit. You guys have got, as I said, this is going to be a well-attended, wow, look at that, well-attended town hall. It is. So let me see if I can go back and take a look at some of these notes and see what I have missed. Okay. Choose a team aware the team did not mess. Let me see if okay. I can't really, again, I don't want to talk about where the token price comes from, but to say that we want the token to actually find its correct place. Obviously, I get very nervous about saying anything, but the idea that, that we rug pull, that we get, again, I can't tell you, we consult with a couple of people, like, do we consistently go out and talk about, gosh, look at the walls. You can see our walls. Our walls are transparent. We could keep on saying that over and over again, but there's some people who are never going to be convinced, right? And we get that. There's probably a way we could employ a third-party audit if we feel like it rose to the point that we have to prove ourselves. But ultimately, we think that getting the network and seeing the network, all the more green dots kind of pop up on the map, should show you that we're not just, a scam project. The games are reaching players, and players are seeing all that activity is actually happening on the blockchain. You can see the activity on the blockchain. So once again, if you're not looking deep enough, then I don't know that I can help you. Use trusting. Did that one already. Are we repeating messages, or am I just scroll back up again? Project doesn't have, that's not true. Right. There are going to be, so people are like, the reputational damage is ruined. And it, for some people, it's going to be. Other people are finding us for the first time and going, wow, this is a great way to solve the problem of the hyperscalers and data centers. So I would love to be able to keep everybody who finds us forever. I think that's unrealistic. That's, again, we're up to making corrections where we can. But am I going to go door to door and hug everyone who feels like they've been hurt by us? I'm afraid I can't do that. Steam credentials are saved at Steam. I don't think we hold on to any Steam credentials on our system, but I will make sure that that's true. Someone from the mod team, if you can write that question down, where are the Steam credentials saved? Is it safe? Are we holding the Steam credentials on our system? And I would think we probably don't, just because we know the issues with the European data laws, but I'll find out for sure. Somebody hates us. Yep, that means we're doing it right. That's not true. That's not true. We don't want anybody to hate us. But I'm not also not going to tell you how you must feel about things. Oh, well, the answer has already come. Yes, they are safe. We don't. What we're storing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Ron's actually answered that question about Steam. I think we've gotten to the end. So let me a little confession to make. Well, not much of a confession. I'm an optimist, right? My role in the gaming industry has always been the guy who heads up the best projects I worked on had two leads, right? There was a creative director, and then myself was a project manager. And the creative director had like the vision for what the game should do and how the player should feel at every moment of the game. And then my job was just to, help them out by creating the schedule, doing the task tracking, tell him when he's planned for a feature that's going to blow the schedule. You can't do that. It's going to blow the schedule, or you don't have the manpower for that. Like, I ended up having to be the realist on many projects and kind of rein in the idealist who was the game director. Unfortunately, in many ways, I'm also an idealist. Like I'm like, that feature sounds great. Let's see if we can fit it in. Or the client's really, really angry. It's okay. I can calm them down. That was part of my role. But where I ran into issues, what I had a real problem with in my younger management days, and the feedback, again, this is thanks to feedback I got. Our studio at the time was very good about having retrospectives, and we'd all get into a room, and everybody in the team every 3 weeks could say, we did this wrong, here's how we can fix it. We did this really good, but this is what we did wrong, here's how we fix it. And one of the charges levied against me was, Jeff never seems like he's concerned enough. Like the term is Pollyanna, if you're familiar with U.S. Colloquialism, but just that he always seems like he's upbeat, and he never seems worried when everybody else on the team is worried. And that was fair criticism. Now, obviously, I was generally feeling like we could always accomplish what we set out to do. Sure, we missed some goals here and there, but generally, my feeling has always been optimistic. But if you're somebody who's pessimistic, or if only you can see the things that are going bad, my upbeat nature is going to piss you off. And I get that. And it was good feedback for me to have. So after having gotten that feedback for that team and for the rest of that project, I was much more measured. And I think over time too, I've become I lean a little bit more towards, hey, let's not just always think everything's going to be fine. Yes, I still agree everything's going to be fine, but no, there's work to do in order to make it stay fine, or to get it to be fine. So that is a change that I made to myself, in my process. I shall say 15 years ago. It was some time ago. Anyways, I say that to say the role of being the guy on the town hall fell to me back when I was doing CXO work, the strategy stuff and kind of the experience stuff that has now kind of moved over to Jeroen, and he's doing a great job at it. Probably much more skilled technically to be doing that anyways. And now I'm back over at the COO role, which is really kind of where my experience has been. But that experience and that personality don't always mesh very well. And now I'm in front of everybody in the town halls twice a week. kind of giving this, hey, everything's going great. We're doing such great things. But again, there are people on the other side who are like, you guys fucked it up. I said, I didn't mean to swear. You guys screwed it up, and now we're all suffering for it. Those things clash. I get it. I'm trying to not. I don't want that to be the case. And again, I'm not going to please everybody. I know this already. But where the criticisms really are useful and helpful and constructive, that's, I think, where I think that I'm happy to say I feel like I'm doing pretty good, that I do a pretty good job of like taking that feedback in and making course corrections and kind of pushing the team into, listen, they've said we should be doing this thing. Is it possible? And if it's possible, let's put it into motion. So anyways, I just kind of want to, maybe I'll just end it there. I've got no more chats that's super constructive. I've got a lot of chats that are talking about bad things, but I'll once again just kind of reiterate what we're doing, why you should be here and stay here is because you recognize that the hyperscaler data center model that's currently the centralized model that's currently being employed and is facing massive pushback all over the world is not going to sustain itself. The much better way to do this is to allow people to earn passive income with their gaming rigs at home that are sitting idle, and allow that income to be distributed across different locations. It makes for a faster network for gaming. And once we've solved, and now that we saved the gaming issue, I said this on Wednesday, because we went after gaming first, which is a much harder thing to do, an interactive stream that's a low latency and on the edge like that. That means we can translate that easily into things like AI and edge compute for all the other reasons like robotics and those kinds of things. Everybody else is going to suffer when they try to pull that off in the data center model. It's just not going to work in so many cases. So what you want to be here for is that change in technology. The reason why we're here again is to make things better for everybody. Okay. That was 42 minutes of me by myself kind of taking on the concerns. I hope I hit everything. If I didn't hit everything, obviously I'm going to hear it. So it's not like I have to worry about not knowing that I didn't hit everything. But I feel like I covered a lot of ground that I feel is right for the community is rightly calling us out on. I'm going to work with the mod team and the marketing team to make sure this is a much more regular cadence. Wednesdays will stay probably an industry talk about what's going on in the industry and how we're solving that problem. And then we'll spend more time in a better format to get community messaging out to you guys on these Friday town halls. As I say many times, be good to yourself, be good to the people around you, tell someone close by that you love them, drink lots of water, touch the ground with bare feet, look up at the stars at night, and tune in and follow along with what the project's doing, because I think we're doing great things for a lot of people. All right, everybody, thank you so much. We'll talk again soon. Cheers.